Rachel said, we're here for 8 weeks on our student placement. And just as part of our QI project, we're just doing a bit of education around the different diets and around meal times and our role, and just trying to make sure that everyone's on the same page with what is and is not included in the 3 different diets that we prescribe for residents after we do swallow assessments. So I'll just give a bit of an overview on what we're going to touch on today. So we'll just be looking at what dysphagia is and the role of a speech pathologist in managing dysphagia. So there's sort of 3 different areas that we look at, and they are so compensatory strategies, environmental strategies, and then of course the texture modified diets. And then we'll have a little bit of a look at the difference between dysphagia and we're going to have a bit of a look at the difference between dysphagia and dementia feeding behaviours, because they can get a bit mixed up sometimes. So dysphagia is the term used to describe a swallowing difficulty. So there's the 3 different stages of dysphagia. So we've got the oral stage, which is most often due to muscle weakness and incoordination in the mouth area. And this leads to problems coordinating the food within the mouth and propelling it back. And then we've got pharyngeal dysphagia, which is more often caused by neurological disorders such as Parkinson's disease. And it is due to reduced nerve function, and that impacts the actual swallow itself. So what happens in a swallow, and we will show you a video, but so the larynx lifts up and this little flappy thing called the epiglottis closes over the larynx. So that's what protects the airway, and the food is then directed down into the stomach. I'll show you the video of that one. And then there's esophageal dysphagia, which is the problem is further down in the esophagus where the food is not properly being pushed down into the stomach. So we can recommend a few strategies and change someone's diet to help with that a little bit, but typically we would refer on to an gastroenterologist. So this is just a video. This is going to show you what a normal swallow should look like, and then what a swallow would look like for someone who has dysphagia. So you can see this is the tongue here. This is the epiglottis that I was talking about that's going to close off the airway.
Gives you the hiccups.
So this is the bolus of food.
That's what we call anything that's in the mouth. Here the food gets chewed, it's preparing for the swallow.
So respiration stops, that's this closing off. That's the swallow happening there. This is very slow. And so you can see the trachea here was protected by the epiglottis. None of the food slipped in, so that was a normal swallow. This is a dysphagic swallow. So you can see here that food is penetrating into the airway. Now, sometimes a cough can bring that back out. Not always though, as you can see there was no swallow reflex. So the epiglottis was not coming down at all, and food just goes directly into the lungs. That can cause aspiration pneumonia, and obviously residents can get very sick with pneumonia, and it can be detrimental. So, yeah, so that gives you a bit of an idea of what actually happens in the throat and in the mouth, and what we're trying to prevent.
You can see how paramount it is that the food goes down into your esophagus, not your lungs. So that's why we want a safe swallowing environment. So to do this, we look at safe swallowing strategies. So we acknowledge that a meal time for somebody is not just a meal. You need to have mealtime safety, you need to have mealtime enjoyment. So you need to be socialising during your meals and really enjoying that. And you also need to have that mealtime experience. So this encompasses, how nice the food is, which is lovely here, and the residents all enjoy their food. And it also encompasses, being able to socialise at the table, and then being paramount that safe